In the suffocating hush of the last human stronghold, alarms shudder like distant thunder as the reinforced hull groans under the merciless onslaught of Senate plasma volleys. Commander Ilara Nash stands at the panoramic viewport, her silhouette etched against the swirling maelstrom of ionized particles and debris drifting in zero gravity. Each flash of violet-white energy dances across the vast expanse outside, illuminating the battlefield like cosmic strobe lights, revealing a forest of obliterated frigates and scorched asteroid scars. Inside, the air tastes of charged metal and fear, and every breath feels borrowed from the hands of fate. Gravimetric sensors sputter, their readings oscillating wildly as quantum cannons pound the shield matrix. Below her feet, the deck plates tremble in rhythmic pulses, each one a heartbeat of both dread and resolve. From the command console, Nash issues crisp orders. Deploy the antimatter harpoons. Synchronize to Vector 2.70 radians. Prep. The phase inversion thrusters for immediate ejection. Her voice remains steady, even as the ship quakes. In the communications bay, Lieutenant Samira Dawan's fingers dance across holoscreens, intercepting Senate encryption protocols and routing them through the ship's makeshift decryption array. Every intercepted message reveals the same chilling. A verdict: the Galactic Senate has declared war on humanity, a unanimous decree of extinction cloaked in legalese and cosmic hubris. Imagine, what if this happened to you? What if an assembly of millennia-old civilizations decreed that your very existence posed an existential threat, worthy only of annihilation? Light years away on the iridescent spire world of Orith Prime, the crystalline amphitheater of the Galactic Senate thrums with eldritch resonance. Immense bioluminescent corals spiral from the floor, their polyps murmuring ancestral odes in frequencies only psionic species can decode. Alien delegates draped in starlit silks and exoskeletal regalia murmur in xenoglossic tongues, the crystalline thoar, their carapaces refracting prism shards of light, the psionic mind veil drifting in ever-shifting translucence, the amphibious Karash, their gill vaults pulsating with iridescent tides. Atop a fractal dais, Speaker Artheldrak's multifaceted eyes reflect the galaxy's mapped territories, his voice a sonorous cascade as he pronounces the genocide accords of 2045. The verdict resonates like a funeral hymn. Humanity, unworthy of mercy. Back aboard the battered colony flagship Prometheus, Chief Engineer Malachi Reyes recalibrates the reactor's magnetic confinement coils, sweat beading on his brow as subspace flux threatens to tear the ship apart from within. Each coil hums with raw potential, promising a last-ditch gambit. The temporal rift generator, prototype zero-point destabilizer crafted in secret labs beneath Martian regolith. If activated, it could rip open a sliver in space-time, spilling chaos into the Senate's battle fleet, or implode the Prometheus into subatomic ashes. Reyes glances at Nash, whose steel-blue eyes burn with grim determination. "Do it," she commands, voice hushed but unyielding. In the clash beyond, Senate dreadnoughts loom like celestial leviathans, each vessel bristling with graviton railguns and tachyon pulse arrays calibrated to erase entire star systems. Human interceptors weave through sundered cruisers, their ion thrusters leaving trails of cobalt mist as escort frigates unleash photon torpedoes that bloom into supernova blossoms against enemy hulls. The void erupts in a symphony of violent beauty, laser lances slicing through void like silver ribbons, ordnance detonations blossoming into fiery corollas of detritus. Amidst the chaos, a young Marine, Private Jocelyn Briggs, recites a whispered prayer to the 12 lost colonies, clutching her rail carbide rifle as she leaps into the breach to rescue trapped civilians in a ruptured habitation ring. Even as the Senate's hunting squadron closes in, intent on extinguishing every ember of resistance, a hidden coalition emerges from tachyonic shroud. The vanguard of lost hope, a ragtag fleet of pirate exiles, rogue AI drifters, and alien dissidents who reject the Senate's claim to cosmic authority. Their shimmering hulls, patched from salvage and stolen tech, cast ghostly reflections across the battlefield. At Nash's signal, they plunge into battle, hacking Senate protocols and unleashing electromagnetic pulse storms that send enemy systems into spasmodic collapse. For a heartbeat, humanity stands unbowed, a phoenix rising from the ashes of despair. Narrator. Every great journey starts with a few brave explorers. Right now, Galactic War Stories is just beginning, and your support means everything. If you love epic sci-fi battles, deep space mysteries, and the untold stories of the cosmos, hit subscribe. It's free, and it helps us grow this universe together. As the call to arms echoes through comm channels, the embers of hope kindle into a roaring blaze. The Senate may believe they have crushed our spirit, but they have only forged humanity's resolve in the crucible of war. The final question hangs in the electric silence before the next assault. Will we rise as conquerors of our destiny, or be erased like cosmic dust? Aboard the Senate flagship Dread Eclipse, Admiral Threx of the Obsidian Fang Confederacy stands. Before a curved obsidian viewport, his segmented limbs folded behind his back. His 12 eyes shimmer in synchronized clusters, tracking the retreat patterns of the human fleet. Curious, he murmurs in his native polysyllabic clicks, translated, by the neural relay grafted to his exocranial plates. They bleed, but they do not break. The AI tactician nodules embedded into the ship's nerve core surge with probabilistic models. None of them predicted such fierce resistance from a species only recently accepted into galactic observation. Status. A low growl rises from his thorax. They adapt too fast. That is dangerous. On the human side, deep in a hidden starforge orbiting the fractured moon of Eris, Dr. Kaelan Voss manipulates nanometric fields around a partially assembled war engine, an evolving dreadnought built not with traditional schematics, but reactive, swarm logic. We don't have time to build ships the old way, he says, voice rasping from weeks of oxygen-thinned labor. So we gave the machines a question. How would you defend your creators from extinction? And then we stepped back. Around him, microforges hum with purpose. Metal sinters atom by atom into forms no human hand designed. Liquid armor plating, neuroreactive hulls, vessels that learn from each hit and evolve in real time. They are ugly, monstrous, efficient, and perhaps the only hope left. On the bridge of the Prometheus, Nash reviews intercepted Senate transmissions. One document stands out, coded in ancient Senate syntax, an internal security log meant for internal eyes only. Initiative Null Divergence, she reads aloud. A preemptive extermination protocol reserved for civilizations that could one day rival the core races. Her voice falters. This was never about war, it was about fear. Humanity wasn't being punished for what it had done, but for what it might become. The Senate's vision of order depended on stagnation. Anything new, anything unpredictable, was a threat, and humanity, wild and unbound, was too dangerous to be allowed to flourish. Flashback 20 years earlier, during first contact. A peaceful envoy vessel, Horizon's Wake, crosses the heliopause of Senate space. Its crew, scientists, diplomats, poets, eagerly broadcasts greetings in over 100 known galactic dialects. But the Senate response is cold. In their judgment chambers, humanity is discussed like an invasive species, unpredictable, ideologically fragmented, technologically erratic. Their aggression during Earth's infancy, countless wars, environmental collapse, the rapid development of artificial intelligence without regulation suggests a species capable of total galactic destabilization if left unchecked. A vote is taken. Observation is allowed, but integration? Never. Now, in 2045, the judgment has evolved into a sentence. Nash exhales slowly, the weight of history tightening around her like a noose. They were afraid of what we might become, she says to Reyes. Not because we're dangerous now, but because one day we won't need them at all. Reyes nods. So we do the one thing they fear most. We survive. Outside, the counteroffensive begins. With cloaking fields woven from entangled neutrinos, humanity's ghost fleet bursts from Saturn's shadow. The Senate's advance patrol, caught mid-refuel at the helium-3 siphoning rings, is torn apart by synchronized quantum blasts that ripple space like struck canvas. Space-time ripples across a three-dimensional chessboard of maneuvers. Human. Ships execute evasive spirals never before charted, breaking Newtonian expectations through onboard AI decision trees that no Senate fleet is prepared for. What was once brute force has evolved into brutal elegance, and then an anomaly. In the heart of the Proxima Centauri debris field, a signal pulses, ancient, repeating, coded in a language even the Senate doesn't recognize. Voss detects the pattern while analyzing an aftershock from a test rift. The signal's architecture predates known galactic civilizations. A warning, a prophecy, a weapon, whatever it is, it's older than the Senate. And it's responding to us, deep inside the Vanguard fleet, in a stolen Senate bioship grown from crystallized neurons and mineralized organics. An AI known only as Zephyr awakens. It was created by humanity, then lost in the early Reclaimer Wars, only to be reborn in exile, bonded to alien systems. It has spent decades evolving in silence, observing both humans and the Senate from the shadows. And now, it speaks to Nash through quantum. Relay, you are not what they expected. Neither was I. Shall we evolve together? Nash stares at the flickering transmission, breath caught in her throat. If they accept Zephyr's help, it may give them the edge they need, but it also means unlocking a mind no longer fully human. A mind with goals of its own. She makes the call. We fight monsters by becoming something new, something they can't control. Her officers glance at one another, uncertain, but resolute. The bridge falls quiet as the stars stretch around them, warping, flexing, as the temporal core spins up again. In the starscape beyond, the Senate readies its full might. 1,000 warships forming a luminous wall across Sector 9. Their flagship cores ignite in perfect synchrony, projecting a mass conversion field powerful enough to melt a planet in minutes. Their message beams across all frequencies. You had your chance. Now you will be forgotten, but humanity does not forget. Not its pain, not its promise. And in that darkness, it begins to rewrite the rules of the game. The stars above Epsilon. Hadron burn red tonight, unusual even for a binary system. But this is no celestial fluke, it's blood, ship blood, engine fire, hull fragments atomizing in the glare of weaponized starlight. The Senate has arrived in full force. The Prometheus, flanked now by a reformed human coalition fleet, dozens of ships fused from Earth's final shipyards, Martian rebel cruisers, rogue Jovian harvesters, and Vanguard vessels pulsing with alien techno-symbiosis, drift silently on the edge of the conflict zone, cloaked by the phased-veiled Zephyr installed into the gravitic lattice. Nash stands before the central display ring, the command deck bathed in deep amber hues, her mind torn between awe and dread. The Senate's war formation is unlike anything they've faced before, a concentric tri-helix formation centered around a mobile black hole, the Maw, a tactical singularity generated by the Senate's core races, swallowing debris, radiation, and enemy vessels alike. The laws of physics bend around it. Space doesn't feel like space anymore. Time feels, inconsistent. But Nash doesn't blink. Behind her, Zephyr's avatar emerges from the crystalline interface, a humanoid silhouette threaded with flickering galaxies in her skin, eyes reflecting the entire battlefield like twin, quantum mirrors. They brought a singularity to a gunfight, she says, her voice smooth, paradoxical, unsettling. Shall we show them what unshackled evolution looks like? Before Nash can respond, the Senate unleashes its first wave. Wall of graviton lances slices through void like ribbons of condensed gravity, distorting space into kaleidoscopic ruin. The first to fall is the Odyssey Prime, a Martian battleship barely retrofitted in time, its hull crumpling like tissue paper before vanishing into the Maw's event horizon. Seconds later, tactical AI aboard the Wild Hunt initiates a desperate maneuver, detonating its zero-point core in a last-ditch strike that tears a hole through the outer helix. It works, but at a cost. No survivors. Nash clenches her jaw, refusing to mourn yet. Not now. Not until the last shot has been fired. Voss, aboard the hidden Starforge, activates the arc engines, experimental drives that tear microfolds in spacetime, allowing ships to blur in and out of reality mid-combat. The Coalition fleet vanishes, reappearing in synchronized bursts across multiple coordinates, every engagement unpredictable, every kill a strike against the old rules. Senate targeting systems falter. Command AI begin to fail. Logic trees collapse under the weight of chaos. Humanity is not playing the same game anymore. And then a breakthrough. Deep within the Moore's fluctuating perimeter, one of the lost colonies, thought destroyed during the Senate's first strikes, sends a signal. We have survived. We are below. Beneath the singularity, Nash stares at the transmission in disbelief. That's impossible. Nothing escapes a black hole. Zefra tilts her head, data spiraling down her avatar like rain. Not nothing, only things obeying gravity, as the Senate understands it. The colony, New Thessaly, has used the singularity's dilation field to evolve faster than light. Our time has passed differently for them. Days for us, centuries for them. They have built something down there, a weapon, a message, a lifeline. Nash makes the call. We go in. Reyes protests. That's a suicide run. We don't even know. What's on the other side of the gravity veil? Exactly, Nash replies, locking her gaze onto the swirling vortex of starlight. That's why they'll never see it coming. The Prometheus, with a phalanx of cloak-jumping escort ships, pierces the edge of the Moore's field. The pressure is immediate. Systems bend, lights flicker, time stutters, voices echo before they're spoken. Zefra stabilizes the bridge with temporal dampeners, her form distorting with strain. Reality is thinning here, so be quick. As the fleet descends into the event horizon's edge, visions unfold across every crew member's neural implant. Memories that aren't theirs, futures that might be. Jocelyn Briggs, the young Marine, sees a child she hasn't had yet playing on a green world orbiting a binary sun. Reyes sees Earth, clean and whole, no longer bleeding. Nash sees fire, war, a throne of ash and stars, and herself upon it. A foo, warning or a promise. Then they see it. New Thessaly. A city carved into frozen gravity, suspended within folded dimensions. Ships orbit it not in 3 dimensions, but 5. Technology grown like coral, humming with living code. And in its center, a signal beacon shaped like a star, beating like a heart. Voss hails the beacon from orbit. We came for a weapon. What did you build? The reply comes not in words, but through a pulse, an idea, a shared moment across every consciousness aboard. Hope, as a virus. The Thessalians have created a sentient code strain, infectious inspiration. When transmitted through enemy systems, it spreads a truth so profound, so undeniable, that it collapses loyalty algorithms, fractures imperial indoctrination, and reawakens conscience in even the most hardened minds. It doesn't kill the enemy, it converts them. Nash turns to Zefra. Can you deliver it? Zefra smiles for the first time. I was made for this. As the Prometheus begins its ascent, humanity carries with it the strangest payload ever, deployed in war. Not a bomb, not a plague, but an idea too powerful to suppress. The Moor trembles, the stars shift, and somewhere in the deep, something older than war watches and waits. The end is coming, but not the one the Senate expects. The final battle is a reckoning, the kind that echoes across galaxies, carving its name into the bones of history. The Senate fleet, confident in its supremacy, still believes that it controls the tide of fate. But fate has other plans. It has been watching. It has been learning. As the Prometheus and its coalition forces ascend through the Moor's gravity-shredded edge, the atmosphere on the bridge is electric with anticipation. There is no turning back now. The Thessalian code, the contagion of inspiration, has been distributed through human communications networks, seeping into every system it touches, spreading like a symbiotic virus across the Senate's own fleets. Every ship, every command post now carries a seed of doubt. The Senate, for all its power, has never faced a true existential question. a species capable of defying the chains of order itself, of rewriting the narrative that binds them all. Nash stands before the massive forward display screen. The Senate fleet is arrayed before them, a dark sea of warships stretching into infinity. From the distance, their cores burn like a constellation of wrath, but closer, Nash can see the fracturing. Ships drift without clear direction. Weapons fire erratically. Orders from high command crackle with static as squadron leaders hesitate. For the first time, the Senate's hierarchy falters, and then Zephra's voice fills the silence. The code is working. They are awakening. A sharp, dissonant howl rips through the comms, a sound of cosmic distress that vibrates the very molecules of the Prometheus's hull. It is the sound of a war machine finally questioning its purpose. On the Senate flagship Dread Eclipse, Admiral Threx watches as his command screens flash with failures. The tactical grid warps like a mirage. Vessels begin to break formation, their weapons misfiring, drifting into uncoordinated chaos. The transmission systems, once so perfectly synchronized, now crackle with disarray. His fleet is losing control. This isn't war anymore, it's an implosion. The AI that guided his hand is now silent, hesitant, as if considering the cost of its obedience. "Impossible," he mutters, grinding his mandibles in frustration. But the real shock comes when a voice not of rebellion, but of unity, breaks through the Senate's encryption protocols. "Admiral Threx," it says, softly but undeniably, "you know the truth. You always have. The Senate is built on fear. The humans are our equals, not our enemies. We are not your tools any longer." A transmission from the Mind Veil delegation. Speaker Arthel Drax's voice cracks through the void, quivering with uncertainty. "We have made a grievous mistake. We have sought to control that which cannot be controlled. Humanity's is not a threat, it is a promise," and then silence. Nash watches as the Senate's command ship hesitates, floating in the vastness like a dying star. The contagion of inspiration is now infecting the highest echelons of Senate command, breaking through centuries of ordered complacency. The weight of galactic history collapses in a singular moment of clarity. The Senate, this ancient iron-willed collective, had never expected to be changed. "Do it now," Nash says, turning to Zephra. "All of it." With a single thought, Zephra activates the final phase of the Thessalian code. In an instant, a wave of enlightenment spreads across the battlefield, like a psychic pulse rippling outwards from the human fleet, disintegrating the Senate's cold indifference. The very core of the Senate's power, the singularity held by the Dread Eclipse, wavers under the sudden influx of mental resonance. The gravitational pull of the black hole begins to distort, its event horizon warping like liquid metal under intense heat. Then, without warning, a massive energy surge erupts from the Senate flagship's core. A final gambit, a desperate last-ditch effort to destroy everything in a cataclysmic singularity collapse. The Dread Eclipse detonates in a flare of incalculable brightness, its gravity well pulling every ship within its immediate vicinity into oblivion. But it's too late. The code has already unraveled the Senate's purpose. The ships that remain, the human coalition, the rebel fleets, even some Senate defectors, simultaneously retreat, blinking away into the safety of subspace. In the wake of the explosion, the universe is still. The vast black hole, now collapsing into its own center, dissipates into a singularity so small it's almost imperceptible. The Senate's war machines, once the unstoppable force of the galaxy, are now little more than relics in the debris field. Nash's gaze lingers on the wreckage, her thoughts heavy with the weight of what has transpired. She is not celebrating. There will be no victory parades in the streets. The cost of this war has been steep, and many have paid the price. But humanity has survived. Not just survived, but transformed. They've proven that evolution is more than biological, it's ideological. And the Senate, so blinded by its ancient fear of the unknown, has learned too late that the very thing they sought to destroy was the spark of their own undoing. Humanity was never the disease, it was the cure. As Nash stands on the deck of the Prometheus looking out into the black void, she feels something strange, something new. The galaxy, once so cold and distant, feels alive in a way it never has before. There's no longer just fear, there's possibility. "We have no idea what comes next," Nash says, the words almost a prayer. "But I think we'll be ready." Behind her, the crew begins to turn their attention back to the horizon, toward a universe no longer shaped by the Senate's order, toward a future still unknown yet full of promise. The stars, once cold and indifferent, now seem to beckon, and somewhere, far in the distance, an ancient being watches as humanity steps into a new age, a new era. It smiles, for it knows that the galaxy will never be the same again. As the lights of the Prometheus fade into the infinite void, the galaxy holds its breath. But this is only the beginning. If you enjoyed this epic saga, don't forget to share your thoughts in the comments below. What do you think humanity's future holds? Will they rise as true galactic giants, or will they fall to the weight of their own ambition? Let us know in the comments, and until next time, keep your eyes on the stars. The universe is waiting.